Y'all, it's time for some damn good tacos in college football. We're excited to announce our title sponsor, Torchys Tacos, for the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk, and the new addition to the Hogville.net family, the Arkansas pregame show starring former Hog running back Marshall Foreman, hosted by Jason Pattison. If you're looking for a place to unwind and call the Hogs, Torchys is the place. Torchys' location on MLK in Fayetteville is the proud host of the Arkansas pregame show, and it will air 2 hours prior to kickoff of each Fayetteville home game. The Arkansas Football Report airs every Thursday at 7 p.m. in Rogers. Check out the full-service bar on the patio or in the restaurant while you cheer Arkansas on to victory, or any of the great college games across the country. Torchys has you covered with the daily drink specials or the taco of the month with their queso that's made in-house fresh daily. With TVs on the patio or in the restaurant, you will never miss a minute of the action this season. Torchys has 2 convenient locations in Northwest Arkansas, which happen to be the only 2 locations here in the great state of And everybody, welcome to the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Pattison. Tonight, as you can see, I got the great-looking stud over here beside me, Dudley Dawson.
Dang, Otis, you're looking good.
I'm going to tell you what, man. It's like you took 15, 20 years off of him tonight. Oh, actually, we hope that he does get feeling better. He has been quite under the weather here the last couple of days, and I want to wish him a speedy recovery as he's starting kind of under the weather, but he'll be back very, very soon. So, I want to just kind of throw it out here real quick and just, good evening, Razorback Nation. It is October 10th, 2024. As always, we're here Thursday night. Torchys Tacos here in Rogers. Want to thank Marcus and Leighton for all of their great hospitality that them and their crew show us every week. You can also click on the like and subscribe button on the right-hand bottom corner of the screen to watch all of Hogville.net's YouTube channel. You can catch all the past shows from Otis, Dudley, Kevin, and now Marshall. Be sure to stop by either 2 locations here in Rogers or Fayetteville, the Torchys Tacos, which happen to be the only 2 locations, Dudley, in the great state of Arkansas. And we might see them maybe expand here a little bit soon. Don't know yet, though, but I do want to bring up something that had happened last weekend in Kansas City as well. So, if you want to check out their taco of the month, which happens to be this guy right here, my friend, which would be the Baja Salmon Taco. That thing looks pretty stinking good. It's got the blackened salmon with the cooked cabbage slaw covered with some pickled onions and jalapenos. It's got an avocado slice with a little bit of cajita and some poblano ranch and cilantro on a corn tortilla. So be sure to check that out as well. So I'm going to leave that here for just another second. And so, if you're heading to the to Reynolds Razorback Stadium, not this Saturday, they're off this Saturday, but next Saturday against LSU, which kick time is at 6 p.m. Be sure to stop by the Torchys Tacos in Fayetteville on MLK 2 hours prior to kickoff. That is whenever myself and Marshall Foreman, former Razorback running back, will be the Rock. That's right. I love that, man. I'm going to tell you what, he's got one of the best nicknames. And I was talking to Limbo Parks, which, by the way, I always do a Limbo Parks shout out every episode, and I'll tell you all a little bit reason why here in a little bit. But reason why is I told him, I was like, man, I just love your nickname. He's like, I don't know why people call me that. But him and I will be live 2 hours prior to kickoff next Saturday, prior to the LSU game at the Torchys Tacos in Fayetteville. So be sure to check out all of that. And also, we got a couple of winners that we'll go over here in the next later on in the segment as well, because we have this score prediction thing that comes up on Twitter. You have to like and subscribe to the Twitter page to win a $25 gift certificate to the person who guesses the score closest. And we'll go over that here in just a little bit. So without any further ado, I want to thank everybody for joining with us tonight. And also, if you have any score predictions with Arkansas versus the bye, go ahead and throw those up. And
I think I'd taken the bye last year.
Oh, yeah, I'd have taken the
bye last year to get it done. But I think Arkansas is going to beat the bye this week.
I think so. I honestly probably would have taken the bye for the last 5 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I think that's a testament to what Sam has done. And after 21 and had a little bit of a debacle that next year, and he wanted to right the ship. Now, in this day and age, you can do a lot of things. You can change the landscape of your team on and off the field, and he's done that last year. Now he's done it this year, and then you're starting to see the benefits of that. Now, Josh Heupel last week, he saw the benefits right before his very eyes, and I think that was one of the biggest takeaways from last weekend was what he had said after the game.
Yeah, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to both of the coordinators. Obviously, Coach Petrino has come in and established an identity, and certainly the offense did enough to help win that game the other night. But Travis Williams and his defensive coaches, they put together a great game plan. As you said, Josh Heupel talked about how they had him off balance, and basically. It sounds like Travis Williams did a lot of video work leading into the game, found a tendency that he knew Tennessee, what they were going to run, basically, or at least what they were in the situation to think, call the play. And I think that, you could see that because Arkansas's defense just really did a great job, and you could tell it frustrated Tennessee, certainly in the first half. They got going a little bit in the second half on the 53-yard run. But it's one of those things. You just got to give them a lot of credit. I did not give them very much of a chance at all going into that game. Tennessee had looked great. When they went to Oklahoma, they didn't dominate the scoreboard as much as they had been doing, but they did. I thought they dominated the game, played pretty physical, and then once they got the lead, kind of shut it down and cruised to the victory over there. But it was a narrative changing win, at least for a couple weeks.
It was. One of the things that I want to go back on and talk about for just a second that you just mentioned, Tennessee's faced now 2 SEC caliber defenses, and people need to start talking about the way Arkansas's defense is with some of the top echelon of the SEC, because they have been elite against the run. They have been really good against the pass, and this is what I'm going to throw this up here. This was the winter stat pack from Saturday night. Throw this up there, get this out of the way. So, kind of blow this up a little bit too. There we go. All right, so this is the winter stat pack. You had Arkansas rack up 431 yards.
Which it really didn't seem like that.
No, it didn't. I mean,
out of those 431, I bet 400 were between the 20s.
Yeah.
Because they didn't sniff the end zone much. Certainly in Tennessee, I thought it was probably the right decision on letting Malachi Singleton score.
Yeah.
But boy, that just looked weird. The guys backing out of the way, putting their hands up, and doing things that I know what he was trying to do. They almost pulled it off. They're almost able to get back down the field. But the one thing you did there was, put yourself behind even further, and you were going to have to when they didn't get the 2-point conversion, you could score the touchdown and won it, but a field goal wasn't going to do it, obviously.
No, and that was really big also with I don't think it was Kyle Ramsey that kicked the second field goal.
Matthew Shipley,
yes.
And he's going to be the kicker for a while, it looks like now, because of the injury that Kyle Ramsey had. By the way, shout out to Cam Little for kicking his first game-winning field goal in the NFL last week for Jacksonville's first win of the season, actually. Yep. And I know that I think he's in New Orleans this week because Jacksonville decided to go up there and practice instead of hang out down where the hurricane was coming. I do think that Shipley, who we all thought was going to be the kicker during the preseason, and he was mentioned a lot, and for whatever reason, Kyle Ramsey overtook him. And Ramsey has made some good kicks this year, but obviously hadn't been consistent, hadn't given you the basically the consistency that you want. And certainly, neither one of them are Cam Little. But let's if you're a big kicking game guy, you got a kid that's kicked the 62-yarder in high school already coming in here next year. I bet he gets a good shot.
I bet you he does too. And how big is it though that that field goal that was in. I do believe it was the start of the. I think it was the start of the fourth quarter.
Yes.
The difference in that, it being a 2-point game versus a 5-point game, was all the difference in the that last drive. Because it's forcing Tennessee to go for the end zone instead of kicking a 40, maybe a 50-yard field goal and possibly winning it.
Yeah, and this was a night when Arkansas wasn't very good in the lower red zone unless Tennessee let them score. And obviously that's what happened, on the last drive that they had. And I'd love to tell you that they would have got in the end zone, anyway. But I don't know that would have happened because while the rushing game has been really good this year, Tennessee's defensive line is still the strong part of their football team. James Pierce Jr.,
that guy's a man.
Yeah, had 3 tackles coming into the game, and you think, well, why is everybody talking about him as a first-round pick? Well, you saw him running around the field against Arkansas, and he had 11. He only had 2 tackles against Oklahoma, but he had 11 pressures. And I know what Arkansas's quarterbacks, I guess, were both played in the game. They knew where he was, and he was coming all the time.
Yeah, and so we talked about. I was wanting to kind of touch on this as well. The Tennessee offense coming into the game was scoring. I think they were averaging, right around 54 points a game, slightly skewed because against Oklahoma they scored 25. They're starting to run into good defenses each week.
Yeah, you can't put up 70 on Samson State or whatever it was that they played earlier. And I mean, it was 63-0 at halftime.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think there might be some bells and some alarms going off at that Tennessee complex because 2 straight weeks in a row they face really good defenses, and don't get me wrong, they put up 332 yards of offense. I feel like that's slightly skewed because every yard that they gained, I felt like it was a struggle for them the entire game because
one
of
explosive play. Explosive play.
Just one.
Yeah. With the running back going 53 yards. You look at it, and I think Nico, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, although I do know how to spell it after last week now. But Nico is going to be a very good quarterback for them. Mm-hmm. But you can tell that he's still, and Josh Heupel talked about this, that this week, that he's still learning how to go through his progressions when he comes up to the line of scrimmage and he's got the play and the place, where they can run it. They're able to, be very successful. But when he has to think too much, and that's part of any young quarterback, leaning into the job and learning the job. Yeah, you've got to be able to not only know what's happening pre-snap, but post-snap, right away post-snap.
Gotta love
big Vanderbilt fan walking by us. I guess.
Yeah. Gotta love live. Gotta love it live.
I got you.
There's a couple of key turning points in the game on Saturday that I want to kind of highlight for just a minute before we go into break here in just a minute. The first one, when Arkansas is down 14-3, last couple of years, that's been one of those moments where you just expect Arkansas to kind of roll it up, say, you know what, we gave it our best shot. It's been 3.5 quarters almost, or 3 quarters, and we just don't have the firepower. Now, you go back and you look at the way that the Oklahoma State game went down. You look at how the A&M game last week went down. I feel like this team has taken its lumps and it has been able to say, oh, you know what? We had those problems. We've also persevered. And I feel like that really shined for Arkansas against Tennessee in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think you can look at that as well. I do think they have been horrible in one-score games. Most of the reasons have been because of their execution at the end. And obviously the big thing the other night was no turnovers. You didn't drop a punch. You didn't have an interception, a pick six. Or you didn't. And for the most part, you had pretty good field position the whole night. And Malachi Singleton came in on that last drive, obviously, and did a really good job. But you could tell when he first got out there that Tennessee's defense was yapping at him a little bit, and it was coming a lot faster than UAPB. was that first game when he got in and played well. Got to give him a lot of credit. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback down the line. I thought KJ Jackson is as well. But I also think that Taylon Green is going to be able to continue to develop under Bobby Petrino. Yeah. And I think we all knew that he was raw coming in. We all knew that he was a fantastic athlete. I think he's growing into becoming a quarterback. And again, you've got a great guy to teach you how to do that over there. And it's obviously the Dan Enos experience didn't work last year, but the Bobby Petrino one is.
It really is. And you mentioned Bobby for a second. This is the other part of that fourth quarter that I want to point out that was more of a turning point for Arkansas in that game. There have been points in the last couple of years, and folks, correct me if I'm wrong from your point of view, but I feel like I share this point of view. Whenever you have your starting QB go down, KJ for the last couple of years, we're kind of holding our breath, making sure that hoping that Taylon doesn't get hurt. It does happen. You bring in Malachi. You a couple of years ago, KJ goes down in the A&M game, and his name eludes me. I can see him right now.
Malik Hornsby.
Malik Hornsby comes in, holds the water really for Arkansas.
I'm pretty sure he's a wide receiver at Arkansas State.
He is. And Bobby has about a series to look at his play charts, because he's the most prepared guy that we'll ever probably meet, other than maybe an NFL coach of that caliber. But he looks at the play sheet. He sees what information he's getting from the offense and what the defense is doing. He puts together two possessions back to back that put Arkansas on the spot to be able to score, not only take the lead, but the win. And that right there, Bobby earned every stinking penny that he has been paid, and he will be paid for the rest of this season, solely on that possession alone, because the last couple of years, there is no way in hell that happens.
Yeah, and you got to look at it this way. He, as you said, he is very well prepared going into a game. I think there's some people who think he's lost a little fire, and maybe he has, but it still pops up every once in a while when Taylon Green has made a bad decision. He's letting him know about it right away. And shout out to Taylon Green for trying to come back in and play the other night, and also for realizing that he wasn't going to be able to get it done. Yeah. And, he took himself out of the ball game. I'm sure Arkansas would have anyway. But, there were some vicious hits to his helmet, and it ended up being an ankle that got him out. So.
Yeah, it really honestly scared me.
Shout out to Braylon Russell, too. Who came in. Quindon Jackson is a great running back. Obviously, he's having a great year, but he has trouble with injuries during games. He has to miss a lot of snaps. And obviously, hadn't been Rashawn Dominion's year yet. And Rodney Hill was out. So Braylon Russell was needed, called upon, and answered the call.
Yeah, and
Bobby Petrino wants to, at the end of the ball game, run the ball and run clock, and he was able to do that.
And one of the things that Hog fans are finally starting to re-identify with, you had that during the Houston era. You kind of had a little bit of it during the Brett Bielema era, and now you're starting to have more of it with Bobby Petrino back at OC, is that this Arkansas offense is a power running offense that throws, and not a throwing offense with a little bit of power run. That's where Arkansas has been able to make that difference and turn that corner, I think, so far this season.
Yeah, and much like I talk about all the time, grew up in Newport. We had a balanced offense under Bill Keedy, the legendary late Bill Keedy. And, in balance, I mean that we would run it 60 times a game with Billy Warren, and we would throw it 3 times, one to the left, one to the right, one over the middle. I always get a kick out of me and Billy Warren once combined for 362 yards. He rushed for 356, and I caught him one pass we threw for 6 yards. But I have always been and will always be a proponent of running the football, of having punishing interior lines of both offense and defense. And usually if you win the line of scrimmage, And that's what they did the other night. I didn't think there was any way they would be able to do that because Tennessee is a veteran offensive line and just they roll in 12 different defensive tackles and defensive ends and all that. And Arkansas, after not being able to do that against Texas A&M, was able to do that against a better Tennessee team, I thought.
Yep. And, shout out to Eric Mateos. He took some lumps during the offseason because of how bad that offensive line was coming into the season. And listen, it takes a couple of games to finally get all the guys in the right spots, right technique, and being able to gel a little bit. That's what this offensive line is doing. Arkansas is 4-2 now. They are 2/3 of the way.
Didn't see that coming.
Eligible.
Did not see that coming. Didn't think they'd be 4-2 right now. Otis is, I think, he's taking a little victory lap right now.
He's taking a couple
because he took some heat when he picked the prediction for 8-4. I don't know if they're going to get there yet, but they're halfway there and halfway through the season. So we'll see. You should have 2 more games against Louisiana Tech, maybe Mississippi State that you should be able to win.
Yep.
Who knows what you'll do with the other 4 regular season games? But I think it is a situation where they have found ways to lose ball games in the last 2 years. I mean, invented ways.
God,
come up with things that you just can't do and win ball games. And I was talking with Anthony Lucas today.
I love Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, his Pulaski Academy team is taking on Bryant this weekend.
That's going to be a hell of a game.
In the battle of 2 unbeatens that since 2000, I think they've got 19 championships, between them. So it should be a great game at Bryant on Friday night. But I was gigging him a little bit about the game, and I asked him if he had to watch it. He said, I was out there in the middle of the field after it was over with. So, there was a lot, and he talked a little bit about Coach Pittman and how much pride there is when Arkansas, when a place he was doing well, and how it hurts you when it's not. And, certainly that's a fan field as well. And so the people who want a coaching change and who, want a difference and all that, they may still get what they want. We'll see down the line, but, at least they had to take a week off. I'm sure they found something to gripe about.
God,
but,
yes.
I haven't really been a message board and listened to a radio guy this week. So if some people are still griping,
If it's happening, I'm sure it probably is happening in Hogville somewhere. There's people in life that just don't like nice things. This is one of those times where you have to like some nice things because your football team's doing great. The state is starting to turn a corner a little bit. And, I know that Sam Pittman takes heat, but at the same time, the guy's doing his job. He turned the coaching staff over and for the better on both sides of the ball. And I really think that he should be taking a victory lap himself right now. I know it's middle of the season. I know it's an off week, but by God, he deserves it.
Yeah, have an extra beer. And we're not coming on here and saying everything's great, everything's right. We're just saying that, smile for a week until something else, something goes wrong. But I did think it was interesting. Our son Brooks, he very rarely texts me during games and stuff like that. Usually I'm busy or whatever. Right after the ball game, he said, "Dad, wasn't it Tennessee in 1999 when you took me and Lindsay down to Dixon Street to the goalpost?" And I said, "Yep."
Yeah.
And that he's Lindsay's 35 now, 36, and Brooks is 33. And I was thinking they were 8-11 when that last happened. When there was the last time they beat a top 5 team, and that just says a lot about where the program has been. Yeah. Certainly, they've had some big wins in the top 20, but yeah, so that was it.
Did you see that they're trying to sell off pieces of the goalpost?
Yeah,
University
of Vanderbilt, Arkansas too.
Arkansas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess they're trying to recoup some of that $250,000 they had to pay to Tennessee.
Hey, here's the thing, man. I'm not sure they can beat Texas when Texas comes in here. I think it's November 11th. But if they do beat them and they storm the field, that's $500,000 you're going to send to the University of Texas. Because if you don't know, a couple of years ago they changed the rules, so
that's a stinky
the money will go to the other team, not to the SEC office. But I'm pretty sure that probably Hunter Yurchek, the director of athletics, if they beat Texas, will probably be okay with it. And Arkansas will probably just get $54 million from the SEC instead of $55 million.
Oh darn!
Yeah.
Well, I've heard some different perspectives on this. Like the rules should change. The rules should be if you're able to make sure that your facility operations people can get the other team off the field in a safe manner. Nobody gets hurt, which I don't know if you did. I saw the video of the Tennessee player walking off the field, shoved the dude down, shoved him into into a female that was on the field.
He was a cheerleader, actually.
Was cheerleader,
Yeah.
and there's no room for that now. If the university, July 1st, has to start paying these players, how many more times do you think Hunter Yurchek's going to want to fork out $250,000, $500,000 on top of having to pay the players?
Well, now that the slobber hog's back, but I tell you what, if they beat Texas, they're going to storm the field. I can tell you, I tell you, who won't ever storm the field or court again. That's me. I'm getting too old for that stuff. Get knocked down, knocked around, all that. So they can storm it for Auburn, they can storm it for Duke, they can storm it for Tennessee and Texas, but nobody else.
Yeah,
that needs to be about the list.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I also saw where they said, there's certain teams that are going to rush the field because of just how poorly they play throughout the last 25 years. I know that Arkansas may do it only to a couple of teams, but then you have Vanderbilt, you have South Carolina, you have, I hate to put Florida in that. Eventually, if the way that Florida keeps going, they might be one of those. Mississippi State, for instance, those are the teams that are going to consistently say, hey, you know what? We beat number one, because they're not going to be up there. And they're going to keep getting penalized.
Yeah, Billy Napier, by the way, has moved up to number one on the hot seat. Coach Pittman has fallen out of that top spot.
Put the ice on that, huh?
Billy Napier. And it's interesting. I think that Tennessee has Florida and Alabama the next couple of games. It'd be interesting to see how they fare against those two teams. We had a Alabama long-time fan come through here a minute ago. Was talking about how he's a big SEC fan and how it's embarrassing losing Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
and I had to give Vanderbilt Clark Lee some credit.
God, yes.
It's not often that not often. It's only happened once. The two top 5 SEC teams have lost on the road the same day. It happened because Arkansas beat Tennessee, and Vanderbilt in their diminutive little quarterback had a heck of a game. And, I know that Alabama probably didn't get up to play the game, and that's certainly part of it. In time. But they engaged in the second half, and you thought they would still come back and win, but you got to give the Commodores a lot of credit.
Yeah, you do. All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break here. We're at the halfway mark. We're going to talk just a little bit of football, then we're going to talk some more baseball, also some softball, women's basketball. That's going to be coming up here pretty shortly as well. So we'll get on that here in just a moment. This is the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk here at Torchys and Rogers. And everybody, welcome back to the Arkansas Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Patterson, and tonight I am sitting beside the improved. I wouldn't say improved, but I would say definitely different looking Otis Kirk, Dudley Dawson tonight.
No Laker gear on here. No Yankees. But do have my Cardinals. So
Is that a sin if you're a Celtics fan and you wear some Lakers gear?
It will never happen. I mean, I don't know if it's a sin or not, but it will never happen. I appreciate the success they've had through the years, and I certainly admire Otis and his fandom. But yeah, there's a reason the Lakers and Celtics have been bitter rivals for most of my lifetime. All I got to say now is we got 18, and I got some new T-shirts. My Cardinal celebration T-shirts are getting worn out. I think some of them may be in our garage sale coming up that my lovely wife Petra here is putting together. So.
Also, want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're here live at Torchys Tacos here in Rogers. Make sure to stop by either one of their two great locations here in Northwest Arkansas at Fayetteville on MLK or here in Rogers. Make sure to also stop by the Fayetteville location 2 hours prior to each Arkansas home football game in Fayetteville for the Arkansas pregame show with myself and Marshall Foreman, former Razorback running back. And also, Dudley, I see here on the wall, you've got a bunch of pumpkins that some kiddos have colored. First place gets $25. Second place gets $15, and third place gets $10 gift certificates here to Torchys.
My wife right now is coloring a pumpkin.
She is.
I guess she's going to enter a contest.
She's definitely. I don't know. I'll have to say. I wonder if she's going to add some of that.
She's good, man. She's good.
I wonder if you're going to add. Can you add some of that Newport orange in there? Oh. See, there you go.
Shout out to Rivercrest who beat Newport. Spoiled the undefeated season last week. Two great teams going at it. They had the ball. They had the ball last.
So I want to bring this up really quick. I saw this the first of the show, and Michael, I promised I was going to get to this. And Michael Kepsky, Whoop Dang Pig Suey, is there any news or possibility of flipping any football recruits? It was a primetime game with Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler. I mean, those sorts of games really make a mark on a recruit.
Yeah, what I would say is it's probably going to have more of an impact on portal transfers in December than it does with high school kids. A lot of the high school kids are pretty much set on where they're going. A lot of the class is full up, and obviously there's a lot of things going on with different things with the lawsuits, NILs, NCAA stuff, all that stuff. So we'll see. But there were people there. I know they got a preferred walk-on today, whose brother's a really good quarterback in 2 years. So smart on their part. But I wouldn't be stunned if it happens. But I think mostly the high school kids are pretty set in their ways. And let's be honest, it was a great win. They're 4-2. If you want to have success in recruiting, you got to keep putting wins together. And they've done a great job recruiting off a 4-8 season out of state.
Yeah.
Hadn't been able to get as many kids, obviously, as they'd like in state. I could think of at least 4 that would have been great football players up here that are going other places. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. It's a 2-week period where the narrative has changed. Let's see, what happens when LSU comes rolling in here. I think LSU I don't think LSU is good defensively as Tennessee, but I think they're probably better offensively.
Yep. And, whenever LSU rolls into town, they're not going to have Harold Perkins. I think that's a huge loss. I know that they've had a couple of weeks to kind of re-game plan their formula on what they want to see and what the personnel, but you cannot replace a guy like that who you have to account for every down. Arkansas doesn't have to account for him on every down. Arkansas now has some guys on defense that you have to account for. Landon Jackson's had a great first half of the season. Xavier Sorg has been everywhere. You have TJ Metcalf also in that secondary. Now you're starting to get Hudson Clark back. And Arkansas's got guys on offense that you have to account for. LSU, I feel like, doesn't have as many guys that maybe Arkansas has now that you have to account for every down.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that game. Glad it's going to be another night game. In answering Matt, I'm going to do that while answering Matt Hart's question. How do you think the LSU D-line compares to Auburn and Texas A&M? Well, I think Texas A&M has the best defensive line of those.
Yes.
They were in the backfield all the time, like they had the snap count. And I think we saw that again this past Saturday when they beat Missouri. And not only beat them, just roughed them up. And, it's Luther Burden scored that first touchdown for Missouri, and then they were shut down to a field goal there at the end. But, yeah, it's going to be another big-time defensive line. But, yeah, I think I'd take Texas A&M's line. Then I'd probably take Tennessee's. And then LSU has some guys, but they also lost some guys from last year. So, let's be honest. If Arkansas is going to beat LSU here in 2 weeks, and now I guess it's a little over a week, no turnovers, and you got to put the ball. You're going to have to score more points than 19 for sure.
Yeah, you are. And that was one of the things that I texted you during the game too. I said, this isn't going to cut it. They're going to have to put up 24 more points. And lo and behold, that defense held up. You didn't have to put that many points up. Now, next week, that's a different story. You don't know if you're going to have Taylon Green back. You don't know if you're going to have Malachi Singleton under center. I think that Sam would not give Brian Kelly the cordial gesture of saying, hey, this is who we're going to have.
He'll know Thursday. He'll know Thursday now that they've got the injury reports. And let's be honest, that's not for the media. That's not for the fans. It's for the gamblers.
It is. It is exactly for the gamblers because, pro sports has leaned into that over the last 25 years. College football is starting to lean into that as well. It's just that it kind of takes I wouldn't say the purity of it, but it kind of takes the ambience away from it. And so, but that's a different story for a different day. I do want to bring this up too. And I texted you and Otis this. On Wednesday, it was finalized that the transfer portal window for men's basketball, women's basketball, and also football, effective immediately, is only 30 days now out of a 365-day calendar year. You have it from December 9th to the 28th, and then 1 week in 1 week in April. That's it.
As someone who writes about recruiting, a lot with the women's sports, baseball and softball, obviously, I know how daunting a task it can be, not only for those writers, but certainly the coaches who, right after their seasons have to dive into replenishing.
Yeah.
And you had a situation last year where obviously most people, and I think the coaches probably knew that KJ was going to transfer.
Yeah.
But he had to stay around and get the last check. I mean, it was contractually obligated or whatever.
Yeah.
But that, kind of, you're lucky you got – I'm sure they told Taylon Green that they're lucky they got a quarterback like Taylon Green, not with KJ not having announced whether he was going to or not. I do think a narrow window is better. Now, I do think they do have an exception. If your coach gets fired, you got 10 days after your coach gets fired to get in the portal. Yeah. Put your name in the portal, and I think that's the right move. But at least they're trying to do some regulation after the fact of what has been the Wild Wild West.
It has. You had Greg Sankey and also the commissioner for the Big Ten meeting, and they took some questions as far as how the model is going to look. Does the Big Ten and the SEC need the NCAA? And of course, they come out and they said
the right stuff.
The right stuff, but
it may not be what they were really thinking, but said the right stuff.
May not have been what they had said behind that wall.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know. But I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see that plan come into place if that does happen. But I want to get away from that. I want to get some baseball because there was quite a lot. There's a lot coming up this weekend as well. Tell me kind of what you've seen over the last week and what we got coming up.
Well, I think I'd been to 10 of the 12 scrimmages, had the opportunity to see a lot of players. We had a press conference today with Dave Van Horn, which is up on our site right now. I'll have a story up tomorrow detailing their scrimmages this weekend with Oklahoma State and Josh Holliday. Hopefully his brother will show up with him. We'll see.
That'd be fun.
You know, but the Oklahoma State is in Arkansas. We're both going to play in a tournament in Omaha, and Nebraska and the College Omaha, which has a very decent baseball team and has played down here a few times. They were all going to play in a little tournament up there, have a couple of games up there. It fell through. For a minute, it looked like that Arkansas, Oklahoma State, and Nebraska were all going to come here and play. Nebraska ended up doing something else, but Arkansas and Oklahoma State will play Friday night at 6 o'clock. Gabe Gackle will be the starting pitcher. He will be one of 6, 7, or 8 pitchers in a 9-inning game. And then there had been talk of playing 12 to 14 innings on Saturday, and whoever made the decision not to do that, my love goes out to you. Now they're going to have 2 5-inning games and give them a break of about 30 minutes while they update the field and all that. Looking forward to that. This is a way to really get a look at the team if you weren't able to make it last Friday night when they basically put the presumptive starters together and they went out and bashed the team they were facing. But it'll be good to see some different competition. It'll be good that Rocco Ruggiero is not going to be here. He's getting paid to play in the minor leagues now. He was entertaining.
He was.
Captain Jack Sparrow was entertaining, and it's looking forward to it. Because Josh Holliday is a great dude. I always enjoyed interviewing him, and done it plenty over the years. I guess it's his nephew. He's making a lot of good money and drinking non-alcoholic champagne after Baltimore got into the playoffs because he's just 20.
I was going to say, because if you had to go over Saturday and endure 2 7-inning games, I'm pretty sure Patriot would have probably had to come over and pick you up with a shovel and get you into the car because that's been rough, man.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, I really would have liked to have had a complete off day, but I'm looking forward to watching the baseball. But and when you get an off day during the season, I really would have liked to have had totally off and sit around and watch some TV. Oh, and play some games. And those sort of things. And do whatever we needed to do in the garage. Those kind of things. But it'll be fun, and it'll be good to see them play different competition. And I after these 10 scrimmages that I've watched, I really feel like they're going to be better than they were last year. Coach Van Horn said that today. I mean, he feels really good about pitching, young pitching, older pitching. Yeah, he's got people who can steal bases as well as hit home runs. They've been doing a lot of that during the scrimmages. And so it'll be entertaining. And I know that right now the softball team is doing one of their Razorbacks Unlimited scrimmages. And Saturday, they will play Tulsa and Oklahoma State over in Tulsa. Ooh. And they'll have a couple of scrimmages with them. It'll be really good. I've got a new favorite player. I've got 2 favorites. Bree Ellis is the best quote, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Ella McDowell is the freshman shortstop, one of the best players in the country, high school players in the country last year. She is very loud. You will, when you come to watch them play, you will hear her chatting all during the game, and her teammates love it. But I remember the first time I saw her play, I was like, who in the world? But did an interview with her and planning on having a story up tomorrow. Having a story up tomorrow on LA and them taking on Tulsa and OSU. But the softball, I just think baseball and softball are both going to be better next year. And again, I realize fully what I'm saying. Yeah.
Patriots over here. She's pleading her case to get her pumpkin on the wall over here.
Well, there is a couple of spots available, so
I think it's great. Arkansas is also going over and playing Oklahoma State that made the Women's College World Series last year. Mm-hmm. That gives Courtney a barometer of kind of what she's recruited in the portal and through high school recruiting. I call it portal recruiting as well. That's exactly what it is. But it gives her a barometer of what she has so far, and if there anything that they need to tweak over the next couple of months before it gets going and rolling.
They'll finish. They will finish up by playing Oklahoma Christian on next Thursday, and then Arkansas Tech on that Friday next week. But these are the games right here against quality teams that are really going to let her know where they're at, because playing Seminole State was good to see other faces, but it was 21-1.
Yeah,
and they swept the doubleheader last weekend, and 13-2 and 8-0. They're really good, but this will give them more barometer where they're at by playing these two teams this weekend.
So we got Mike Neighbors, and I'm going to tell you what, that guy has taken some lumps in the offseason. He's been able to finally coach like you had talked about before. He's got some players now that he can really kind of put into a system that he wants, that he identifies with more, instead of just putting some talent out there and then trying to get them to play together. What can we expect to see as the season starts to ramp up for Mike and the women's basketball team?
I think we're just going to learn as we go along, because there's so many new players in here. They're from so many different countries. I think he's got his latest recruit will make it 8 different countries that will be represented next year. I believe it is 7 on the team this year, but lots of play. He's taken Izzy Higginbotham and Christina Sanchez to SEC Media Days. The men's media days will be on Tuesday. Women's on Wednesday, and then they play an exhibition game on Friday night. So it's going to be a good time to be able to see what they've got, because I wrote a lot of recruiting stories, but I didn't get to travel. Lanny didn't send me to Australia and Croatia, and Denmark, and all the other places. Nice. I do think that they should recruit more people from Australia and New Zealand. And that Patriot and I would need to go over there and do in-depth stories.
I'm sure you could probably find a couple of ladies that played rugby that can box out underneath. I'm sure you could find a couple.
Is that one from still on Dancing with the Stars? No, she is. Okay.
All right.
Hey, she's alone, man.
Man,
the best stiff arm I've seen all year in the Olympics with her playing rugby.
Also, if you guys hit that QR code, it's a direct link here to Torchys. You can pick up any great food, merchandise, all that good stuff. I do want to go off the rails for 2 seconds just before we go to look at the SEC this weekend. Did you watch Law & Order last week?
Yes, and we're going to watch it tonight.
Oh, man. That was that, and also Only Murders.
The answer to that question will always be yes. We big Law & Order, SVU.
Yep.
Found. I like Found, too. We like.
I haven't watched that one.
I say irrational, but what is it? Or I say irrational. It's relevant. Just as rational, yeah. But NBC's got some good shows. We watch a lot of TV. It's a good way to stay out of trouble, is to watch a lot of TV.
It is. I picked up the last episode last night of Only Murders in the Building.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that
was number 7. I guess there are 3 more left, I think.
There is. The moral of that whole entire episode is, tell somebody that you can trust that will keep their mouth shut. Not just have the entire cast show up at the house that you're supposed to be hiding at.
Yes.
My gosh.
We've always enjoyed Jane Lynch as Zaz.
Oh, she's a treasure. She is so great. My kiddo, whenever they found Sass's body part in the incinerator, my kid almost cried. She was so heartbroken because she thought that she would be able to survive the gunshot, but lo and behold, there it is. So,
and this is the part where I tell you to be quiet in case anybody hadn't got started yet.
That's true. Yeah. So, we are gonna head out. So we're gonna take a look at the SEC today, and we're gonna jump over here. Give me just a second. We're gonna pull up the scores for the coming weekend of football here in the SEC. And it's just taking a minute to load. It's giving me the wheel of death here at the very top.
Our good friend Nate Allen calls it the coat of many colors when it spins around.
Oh, me. So, all right. Well, there we go. All right, so you got South Carolina that's heading to Alabama. Boy, I'm tell you what. You think Rocket
Good
Sanders
luck.
wants to head off against that vaunted Alabama defense after losing?
Yeah, they're going to be ready to play. They've had to apologize and were embarrassed. And I think South Carolina's probably going to pay this weekend. South Carolina's a decent football team.
Yeah.
There's a reason that Alabama's a 3-touchdown favorite, and I think Alabama gets right this weekend.
I do too. So, a couple of weeks ago, you had Vanderbilt that traveled to Georgia State, played in Old Turner Field of all the damn places.
Right.
Now you've got Missouri traveling to Massachusetts. I mean, at this point, is this just a trip to say, hey, we're going to go learn some history? Because listen, Missouri coming off of that loss against A&M, they're going to trounce Massachusetts, UMass.
See, I figured this is the deal. They're playing at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. Then they'll be able to go over and watch the 76ers Celtics play exhibition basketball that night. So that's what I'm thinking they're doing, because there really would be no other reason.
Otis was so happy last weekend because the week before you had it was the same weekend because you had Auburn got beat again, and then you also had Missouri lose the way that they lost. And I'm going to tell you what, he's a pretty happy camper this last weekend, also with Arkansas win.
Hugh Freeze is doing a great job recruiting, but 9 out of 9 times, if you give up a lead when you've played solid the whole ball game, you're probably going to lose.
Yep. So 2:30, and that is like I said, on ESPN2 at 11 a.m. The Alabama game is going to be at 11 a.m. on ABC. So now next you have got the Red River. Oh hell! I thought it was
Red River
rivalry. There,
I have S problems. I can get the R's out.
Holy cow! So 2:30. Usually this game is played at 11 a.m. This is at 2:30 this time.
New league, new start time.
It is, and on ABC,
2:30 is their main game now. So.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's going to be at the Texas State Fair there in Dallas, and I know that Oklahoma has had its problems. I don't know if the offense. I mean, Brett Venables has had a week off to prepare to get his quarterback ready and right for Texas. I just don't think that Texas is. I mean, I know it's a 14.5-point spread, but I just see Texas just basically boat racing these guys.
Yeah, I do think Texas beats Oklahoma and pretty handily too. Obviously, Quinn Ewers, their starting quarterback's coming back this week, although obviously they've got great performances from Arch Manning as the backup. And here is a situation where it's a neutral site game. Obviously, both teams will have a lot of fans there. But I just don't see, after watching Oklahoma the past couple of weeks, that they will be able to handle Texas, as you were saying. And I just think that Texas is loaded, and I don't think they're going to go undefeated. I may be proven wrong, but I think they are back and they're really, really good. The recruiting classes are finally paying off, and they finally got a coach in there who I think really knows how to use his players.
He does. And the other thing, too, is one thing that Texas never really had to do because, listen, always after the week after Oklahoma, they played Oklahoma State. Always happened. And then Oklahoma would usually back that up, taking on Kansas State. This time, Texas has got Georgia. That is a huge difference in competition. I don't want to say that Texas will get caught sleeping trying to look past Oklahoma, but if there was a year that would happen, it would be this year.
Yeah, it's the right game to have before Georgia because you'll be up for it. But Georgia, 34-point favorites at Mississippi State or at home against Mississippi State. There's going to be a boat race right there.
Yeah.
I kind of feel sorry for Jeff Levy and what he stepped into there. Certainly he's getting paid a lot of money to resurrect him. I just hope he gets the opportunity to continue that. They get trigger happy down there in terms of firing coaches, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you got, like you just said, and so Georgia hosts Mississippi State, 3:15 SEC Network. Georgia's a 34.5-point favorite. Jeff might have been walking too close behind the Bulldog a little bit when he stepped into that role, because it seemed like he stepped in a big old pile at this point. He's got a lot of work to do. He had a great win against Florida at home.
Yeah.
But other than that, he hadn't really had much to show for it.
Mississippi State, 3 head coaches in 3 years. We obviously know that the highly entertaining Mike Leach passed away, and then they elevated his assistant, and it didn't work out well last year. They're down. I'm sure Dak Prescott still wears his Mississippi State stuff, but he's probably pretty bummed out at how they're playing right now.
Yep. And you've got this used to be one of the best rivalries in the SEC outside of Auburn, Alabama, which is Tennessee, Florida. And again, we're on Billy Napier watch again. It seems like every week we mention him. His players play just a little bit better, just enough to get by with the win. Now they're 3-2. They're 1-1 in the SEC. It's going to be at 6:00 on ESPN. I don't think that this is the game that Florida wanted to face against Tennessee after the Arkansas loss.
Yep. Similar situation to Alabama. I think that Tennessee will play its best game against a quality opponent is how I'm going to put it. Florida may not be a great football team, but, they're good. They're good. But Tennessee, I think, has the opportunity to be really good. And I think that Florida's probably going to pay a little bit for Tennessee losing last week. So
now you've got this one. This is also a really intriguing matchup. You got number 9 Ole Miss going to number 13 LSU. Games at 6:30 on ABC prime time. Ole Miss is a 3.5-point favorite. I'd love to see Ole Miss go in there, soften that LSU defense up for Arkansas next week.
Yeah, I'm sure that the Arkansas people would like that too. They'll get an opportunity since the game is at night to certainly watch as much as they need to, and be able to. I think there's a lot of that can be said for watching a game live. You can go back and watch the cut-ups and do all that, but it should be an interesting game too. Ole Miss is, Lane Kiffin's dad, Monty, obviously was a tremendous coach around here for a while. Lane spent some time here. Remember him being on the field at the Razorback Stadium. It's always interesting when Arkansas plays Ole Miss because we were led to believe that Lane was close to coming here, and then Jimmy Sexton
did Jimmy Sexton things.
Yeah, Jimmy Sexton took care of things. I, of course, badmouthed Jimmy Sexton because he once employed Brooks Dawson. I do think that that's probably going to be a really good game, and I'm glad it's going to be after the 2 5-inning baseball games because I'm going to get home and have that on one of our 3 TVs.
Yeah, and
that are in the living room. We got 9 in the house.
Kind of looks good a little bit for LSU too, because you had Ole Miss that went to South Carolina. They beat them handily, 27-3. Kind of got that taste out of their mouth. Now, this is their chance to really kind of put their foot on the throttle a little bit against a quality opponent with LSU as being former division rivals as well. And I know that some folks don't call them that, but it seems like every year that game just is almost as weird as Arkansas A&M's game, where some weird shit happens, and then all of a sudden you have a really weird score, and it just does not go with way.
Yeah, and I think we're going to find out just how good these two teams are.
Yeah,
they both have played some opponents that they've roughed up. Obviously, some that that have been decent games, but I think this is a really good quality opponent matched up to kind of give us a gauge of where they're really at.
And last but not least, you've got Vanderbilt traveling to Kentucky, 6:45 on the SEC Network. We've talked a little bit about what happened last weekend with Vanderbilt and Alabama. Kentucky, the last time that they had an SEC opponent come in there was, I do believe, was South Carolina. And South Carolina went in there and basically took their lunch money and said, this is ours. Sorry, guys. This is a really intriguing matchup, though. It's a 13.5-point favorite for Kentucky, but I think it's going to be closer than that.
Well, you've got a situation here where Vanderbilt is obviously coming off a big win. They're going to have to get back Thankfully it's not at home, so they can take their time getting their goalposts back up, I guess, get them ordered and get them back up. But the Kentucky has shown itself to be, a pretty good football team. Obviously went to Ole Miss and won. I would think that Kentucky wins this, but then again, Vanderbilt's quarterback, they had a game plan at work last week, and I'm sure that Clark Lee will have another one ready and another intriguing game that will be on the menu at the Dawson House.
All right, well, everybody, I want to thank you all for jumping on with us tonight here at Torchys Tacos in Rogers. And we got a weekend off, sort of. But we don't have Arkansas this weekend. I'll be putting my prediction column out also here tomorrow morning as well. So be sure to look out for that. And guess what? All of the content that we podcast, write, produce, it's free. Check it out on the Hogville website. Also, you can find that on all of our social media platforms with Twitter, aka X, or Facebook, and also on YouTube. So make sure to subscribe and like all of those pages, so that way anytime any of our content comes up, you guys can read it, and it's always free. So for myself, Dudley, aka Otis tonight, and myself, Jason, I want to thank you all for jumping on with us tonight. Go Hogs.